श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथन्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे।
Hare Krishna. Continuing our discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, the 9th chapter of the first canto, the departure or the passing away of Bhishma Dev. And we see this is the final moments of the departure of Srila Bhishma Dev. So when the sun moved towards the north, towards the northern hemisphere of Uttarayan, which was the awaited moment, Bhishma Dev immediately dropped everything else. He stopped giving his teachings to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and he completely focused his matir, his mind, his attention on the Lord, the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. This is what we discussed till yesterday. Itir matir upakalpita vitarsnaha. That his thinking, willing, and feeling all invested, free from all sensual desires, unto Bhagavati Satvata Pongave, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the leader of pure devotees. Further, see now his prayers. Now we see the prayers, the heartfelt final prayers of Srila Bhishma Dev. All his realization, all his devotion is fully imbued in these prayers. He says in the 33rd verse, Tribhuvan Kamanam Kamal Varnam, Tribhuvan Kamanam Tamal Varnam, Ravikar Gora Varam Bharam Dadane, Vapur Alaka Kul Avrita Ananayabjam, Vijasakherati Rastu Me Anavadaya. So he is praising the Supreme Lord by opening his prayer by saying Tribhuvan Kamanam. The most sought after personality in the three planetary system is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Tamala Varnam, whose color is bluish black, like a tamal tree. Sri Krishna, and he also mentions the very intimate word for Krishna, Vijay Sakhe. Krishna is also Vijay Sakhe. He is the Sakha of the Pandu, Putra Arjuna. And all the Pandavas will be victorious. Why? Because their Sakha is Krishna. So he is named as Vijay Sakhe. Jayastu Pandu Putranam Yesham Pakshe Janardana. And he says, let my Ratir, my attraction or my attachment be towards that Supreme Personality of Godhead who has appeared here as the friend of the Pandavas, in particular of Arjuna. So Shri Krishna is the intimate friend of Arjuna, that is Vijay Sakhe. He has appeared on this earth in his transcendental body, which resembles the bluish color of the tamal tree. His body attracts everyone in the three planetary systems. Tribhuvan, Kamanam, upper, middle, and lower. May his glittering yellow dress. This is what how he's meditating is there in this prayer of him. Varambharam is the dress. Krishna wears normally the Pitambaram, yellow dress. In the previous verse, it was mentioned that the color of Krishna's dress is yellow. That is why he is known as Pitambaram. But it is shining, it is glittering. May his glittering yellow dress and his lotus face. The word is Anan Ambaja. Ambaja is that takes birth in water, and that is lotus. And here it is compared with Anana Ambaja. His lotus face covered with paintings of sandalwood pulp. Be the object of my attraction, and may I not desire fruitive results. This is how we should pray. We should learn to pray from whom? From those who are Mahajans, who have perfected their life and pleased the Supreme Lord. So how much Bhishmadev is captivated by the appearance of the Supreme Lord, that he does not want that beautiful face of the Supreme Lord become unmanifest from his meditation. So again and again he is appreciating the form of the Lord. When Sri Krishna by his internal when Sri Krishna by his own internal pleasure appears on earth, he does so by the agency of his internal potency. The attractive features of his body are desired in all the three worlds, namely the upper, which is Swargaloka, middle, which is the Mrityuloka or the Prithviloka, and lower planetary system, which is the Patal. Nowhere in the universe are there such beautiful bodily features as those of Lord Krishna. Therefore, his transcendental body has nothing to do with anything materially created. Arjuna is described here as the conqueror, and Krishna is described as his intimate friend. Arjuna is as the conqueror as Vijay, and Krishna is his friend, intimate friend, his Sakha. So Krishna's another name is Vijay Sakha. Bhishmadev on the bed of arrows after the battle of Kurukshetra is remembering the particular dress of Lord Krishna which he put on as the driver of Arjuna's chariot while fighting was going on between Arjuna and Bhishma. Bhishma's attraction was drawn by the glittering dress of Krishna, and indirectly he admired his so-called enemy Arjuna for possessing the Lord as his friend. This is very interesting. Possessing the Lord as his friend is the greatest wealth, is to have Krishna on his side. Arjuna was always the conqueror because the Lord was his friend. Bhishmadev takes this opportunity to address the Lord as Vijay Sakha, friend of Arjuna, because the Lord is pleased when he is addressed conjointly with his devotees. We discussed this. Where did we discuss? That the Lord is pleased when he is addressed in connection with his devotee. Where? You remember? Many times we have discussed. If you take the name Krishna, Krishna is not so much attracted. But if you name the Krishna as Parthasarathy, or Nandanandan, or Yashodanandan, or Shyamasundar, his attention is immediately drawn. Why? Because Krishna is captivated by the name of his pure devotee. Where? Where did we discuss this? We have discussed this many times. Bolo? Mala? You people are responding as if I am asking something which is never spoken or heard. You remember or you don't remember at all? This is the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I will not tell you the verse number. You have to find out. So Lord is pleased when he is addressed conjointly with his devotees who are related with him in different transcendental humors. While Krishna was the charioteer of Arjuna, sun rays glittered on the dress of the Lord. And the beautiful hue created by the reflection of such various rays were never forgotten by Bhishma Deva. As a great fighter, he was relishing the relation with Krishna in the chivalrous humor. The transcendental relation with the Lord in one of the different rasas humor is relishable by the respective devotee in the highest ecstasy. So this is the very special relationship of Krishna and Bhishma Deva. As we discussed previously, this is in the chivalrous, Veeraras. It's called the Veeraras. And Bhishma Deva is relishing, and so is Krishna. Less intelligent mundaners who want to make a show of being transcendently related to the Lord artificially jump at once on the relation of conjugal love, imitating the damsels of Brajadham. So Prabhupada is warning. So many people try to make a show, imitate, and in particular, the rasa dancer. Such a cheap relation with the Lord exhibits only the base mentality of the mundaners, because one who has relished conjugal humor with the Lord cannot be attached to worldly conjugal rasa, which is condemned even by mundane ethics. The eternal relation of a particular soul with the Lord is evolved. A genuine relation of the living being with the Supreme Lord can take any form of the five principal rasas: Dasya, Shanta Dasya, Vatsalya, Sakhya, and Madhurya. And it does not make any difference in transcendental degree to the genuine devotee. Bhishma Dev is a concrete example of this. It should be carefully observed how the great general is transcendently related to the Lord. Yudhi Turgo Rajo Vidhumra Vishwa Kachalulita Shramavya Alankritasya Mamnista Sharira Vibhidhyama Vachi Vilasvat Kvachayastu Krishna Atma. So Yudhi means on the battlefield. So on the battlefield where Krishna attended Arjuna out of his friendship, the flowing hair of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to dust raised by the hoofs of the horses. So when Krishna was on the battlefield, he had very dense locks of hairs on his head. We have seen Krishna's picture. Huh? Krishna does not have hair like us. Shaven, no hair. Krishna has very dense black curly hairs. And they are all long. They fall even on his shoulders. So Bhishma Dev is relishing that scene when he saw when Arjuna was fighting with Bhishma Dev and Krishna was standing in front as the chariot driver. So his appearance, his hairs were filled with dust. Where else was Krishna's hair filled with dust? One time it was filled on the Kurukshetra war. Where else is Krishna's hair filled with dust? Dayashil, Hare Krishna, आप सुन रहे हो या साइलेंट हो?
सुन रहा हूँ. Yes, I am here.
ऐसा क्या इंपॉर्टेंट काम करो कि वीडियो बंद है तुम दोनों का?
एक्चुअली घबराएंगे, वो मोबाइल को डिस्टर्ब कर रही थी बार बार. वो
उसको दिखाओ मुझे, चुपचाप बैठेगी. आप लैपटॉप से नहीं देखते? Should join from laptop. Yes, Madhav Prabhu, your hand went up first.
Yes, Swasti. So when you take cows, and particularly during the dust time, there used to be a lot of dust raised by the hoofs of cows.
Yes, true. When Krishna and Balram they returned back after gazing their cows, this is called Godhuli. And in the evening when they are returning and they are following the cows are in front. And when the cows move, the hoofs of the cow, when they strike the earth, there is a lot of dust, Brajdhuli. And it comes, it floats in the air and it comes on the locks of Krishna and Balaram. So the gopis relish that scene. They are in the highest conjugal lava. And the same relishment is there with Bhishma Dev. He is appreciating. But here it is not cow. Here are the horses. The horses' hoofs, which create such a storm dust. The dust floats in the air. And that air settles in the locks of Krishna. So, the Supreme Lord looks where most his beauty is enhanced millions of times. And because he is making such an effort to navigate Arjuna's chariot, there is perspiration on his face. So all of it is saying it is so attractive, it is so captivating. See, the flowing hair of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to the dust raised by the hoofs of the horses. And because of his labor, because of Krishna's endeavor, his absorption, beads of sweat wetted his face. It was like, pearls of sweats on his forehead, on his cheeks, everywhere. All these decorations intensified by the wounds on his skin dealt by my sharp weapon. And Vishnudev was not sparing Krishna because the rasa is of chivalrous. He was shooting his arrows on not only on Arjuna, but some of the arrows fell on Krishna also. And Krishna got wounded. And from that wound, what is oozing? Blood is coming out. And Bhishmadev is relishing. He is not relishing that Krishna is pain, but he is relishing the transcendental beauty. In one place, Prabhupada says, the shooting of the arrows of Bhishmadev to Krishna is just as pleasing as the kissing of the gopis. So this exchange is there only between Bhishmadev and Krishna. So Bhishmadev is remembering this very special moment. All these decorations intensified by the wounds on his skin dealt by my sharp arrows were enjoyed by him. Let my mind thus go unto Sri Krishna. Okay. The Lord is the absolute form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. As such, transcendental loving service to the Lord in one of the five principal relations, namely Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsal, and Madhurya, neutrality, servitorship, fraternity, parental affection, and conjugal love, is graciously accepted by the Lord when offered to the Lord in genuine love and affection. What is most important? Offering has to be of genuine love and affection. Shri Bhishmadev, with genuine love and affection, Krishna accepted the banana peels. Krishna accepted the banana peels of Vidurani. What to speak of anything else? She was throwing the banana and offering peels. Krishna did not say, hey, what are you doing? Huh? What have you thought? Have you thought me to be an animal that you were giving me the peels? No. Krishna didn't say that. Krishna was enjoying that moment. He was relishing. What he was relishing? He was relishing the love and devotion of Vidurani. Sri Bhishmadev is the great devotee of the Lord in relation of servitorship. Thus, his throwing of sharp arrows at the transcendental body of the Lord is as good as the worship of another devotee who throws soft roses upon. When you come to the altar, you see the pujari performs the seva. He has a big plate, and in the plate it is filled with the flowers, and sometimes it is roses. And what it is, after offering it to the Lord, he throws that roses on the lotus feet of the Lord. So Bhishmadev shooting his sharp arrows and piercing the transcendental body of Krishna and making the blood ooze out from that wound. This offering and the offering of the pujari in the altar is no difference. And one place I said, it is even the same of the rasa which the Supreme Lord enjoys, which the Braj Vadhus. There is no difference. It appears that Bhishmadev is repeating the actions he committed against the person of the Lord. But factually, the Lord's body was not at all pained. Why? Due to his transcendental existence, his body is not matter. Both he himself and his body are completely spiritual identity. His spirit is never pierced, burned, dried, moistened, etc. This is vividly explained in Bhagavad Gita. What is the verse? His spirit is never pierced, burned, dried, moistened, etc. This is vividly explained in Bhagavad Gita. Bolo, jaldi bolo. Yes, Ravinder Prabhu, very good. At least हाथ तो उठाया.
नयनम छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि
Yes, Priyanka, बोलिए.
नयनम छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नयनम दहति पावक नैचन्नम क्लेदयन्तं
Klete angtapo, nashpashati ma. Very good. Hare Krishna. Then the question may come, if the body of the Supreme Lord is the spirit, why the blood is coming? Why the blood is coming? The spirit cannot be cut, the spirit cannot be burned, the spirit cannot be moistened, the spirit cannot be dissolved. Now the blood is coming. Isn't it? We saw the purport. In the purport, this is what he is remembering. How the blood was coming. So how the blood was coming? Think about it. This is vividly explained. So as is stated in the Skanda Purana, it is said that the spirit is always uncontaminated and indestructible. It cannot be distressed, nor can it be dried up. When Lord Vishnu in his incarnation appears before us, he seems to be like one of the conditioned souls, materially engaged, just to bewilder the asuras or the non-believers, who are always alert to kill the Lord. Even from the very beginning of his appearance, Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna and Ravana wanted to kill Rama, because foolishly they were unaware of the fact that the Lord is never killed, for the spirit is never annihilated. Therefore, Bhishmadev's piercing of the body of Lord Krishna is a sort of bewildering problem for the non-devotees, atheist. But those who are devotees or liberated souls are not bewildered. Bhishmadev appreciated the all-merciful attitude of the Lord. Although he had been disturbed by Bhishmadev's sharp arrows, he had not left Arjuna alone, nor was he reluctant to come before Bhishma's deathbed, even though he had been ill-treated by him on the battlefield. So you see, this is the rasa. Bhishma's repentance on the Lord's merciful attitude are both unique in this picture. Where is the picture? Prabhupada is seeing the picture. Prabhupada is seeing that scene. And his ecstasy is revealed here. He's saying in this picture. So he's seeing the scene. What is happening at the Kurukshetra. Of course, Prabhupada would also be there, along with all these sages who were assembled. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, a great Acharya and devotee in the humor of conjugal love with the Lord, remarks very saliently in this regard. He says that the wounds created on the body of the Lord by the sharp arrows of Bhishmadev were as pleasing to the Lord as the biting of his fiancée when she bites the body of the Lord directed by a strong sense of sex desire. Oh. Such biting by the opposite sex is never taken as a sign of enmity, even if there is the wound on the body. Therefore, the fighting as an exchange of transcendental pleasure between the Lord and his pure devotee Shri Bhishmadev was not at all mundane. Besides that, since the Lord body and the Lords are identical, there was no possibility of wound in the absolute body. The apparent wounds caused by the sharp arrows are misleading to the common man. But one who has little absolute knowledge can understand the transcendental exchange in the chivalrous relation. To make the situation come live, so Krishna made the scene look like as if the blood is coming. And you've seen in the movie, na? The Prabhupada is saying as in this picture. Picture में ऐसा ही होता है. There is hero and there is villain. And when they are fighting, the hero tries to bring the blood out from the villain, or vice versa. But here, there is an exchange between two lovers. And Krishna is making his Yoga Maya exhibit what others can become only bewildered. The Lord was perfectly happy with the wound caused by the sharp arrows of Bhishmadev. The word Vibhidyamana is significant because the Lord's skin is not different from the Lord. Because our skin is different from our soul. In our case, the word Vibhidyamana or being bruised and cut would have been quite suitable. Transcendental bliss is of different varieties, and the variety of activities in the mundane world is but a perverted reflection of transcendental bliss. Because everything in the mundane world is qualitatively mundane, it is full of inebrities, whereas the absolute realm, because everything is of the same absolute nature, there are varieties of enjoyment without inebriety. The Lord enjoyed the wounds created by his great devotee Bhishmadev. And because Bhishmadev is a devotee in the chivalrous relation, he fixes up his mind on Krishna in that wounded condition. If we actually see, Krishna is not wounded. Bhishmadev is relishing the scene where he cuts and bruises Krishna. But actually, if we see who is on the bruised side, the entire body of Bhishmadev is bruised by the arrow which are pierced. He is not thinking about his pain. He is not thinking about the blood which might be coming out from his body. He is relishing that scene where he sees Krishna in his very attractive transcendental form, which he sees on the battlefield. So he wants that same scene, that same form of the Lord appear before him when he finally leaves his body. Sapadi sakhi vacho nishamya madhe nijparayor balayor atham niveshaya stihitvati parasanyakayu rakshana hitavati partha sake rate mamastu. Beautiful. So from Vijay Sakhe now to Partha Sakhe. But one thing is constant. What? Rati mamastu. Let my attraction or my absorption be completely focused on you. In obedience to the command of his friend Lord Sri Krishna, entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. What was the command that Krishna entered into the battlefield? What was the command from his friend? This is what Srila Prabhupada is writing. Pura Bhagavad Gita first chapter revised होगा. What was the command? Yes, Priyanka.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. That is, evam ukto ऋषिकेशो गुडाकेशेन भारत सैन्योर उभयोर मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम्.
That is what Sanjay is saying. What is the command of his friend? अभी तुम्हारा चांस गया और someone has, अरे this श्लोका is known to everyone. कनेक्ट नहीं करते हैं हम. बोलो प्रणव.
Krishna Prabhuji, Arjuna told Lord Krishna to take their ratha before the soldiers so that he can.
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापयामि अच्युत यावादेतान् निरक्षेऽहं योद्धुकामानवस्थिता कैर्मया स योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे. What was the command? सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये. My dear sir, no, you don't say sir. My dear Krishna, though infallible Krishna, please take my chariot in the midst of the battle. Senayorubhyorman. So when he got the command, what did Krishna do? Obedience. In obedience to the command of his friend, Lord Krishna entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana. Senayorubhyor madhe. And while there, he shortened the lifespan of the opposite party by his merciful glance. How? Where is this confirmation? That he shortened the life of everyone by his glance? Where is the evidence? Again from Gita. बोलो. बोलिए प्रभु.
Yes, Prabhuji, when Krishna tells Arjuna that they are already dead and it is that I want to give credit to you.
Yeah.
You can get credit.
When in the 11th chapter, when Krishna showed his universal form, he already told Arjuna that I have already killed them. They are all dead. Even if you don't fight and if you run away, I will ensure that not even one of them is spared by their life. Because I have already killed them. In the 11th chapter, Krishna declares that. But Bhishmadev, with a pure devotee, he could see it beforehand. That is why what he did? What did Bhishmadev do? To declare that the Pandavas will be victorious, he blew the conch shell. He blew the conch shell. तो सब भूल भाल गए. First chapter is so relishable. There is so much of exchange of emotion. And you see, the same, what has happened in the first chapter, this is what Bhishmadev wants to remember at the final moment of his life. And we are such a Uttam Adhikari that we want to forget it even now, forever, so that we cannot remember at the last moment of our life. I was hearing one devotee, he was saying, when Haridas Thakur was beaten in the 22 marketplaces, he was smiling and chanting Hare Krishna. And he said, you see the faces of our devotee while chanting, their faces are as if they are being beaten in the 22 marketplaces. Why? Because there is no desire to chant. The same is applied here. What is there in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita? The same scene. Bhishmadev is desiring that that scene does not change. And for us, that scene will never stay. So don't make faces while you are chanting. Try to make it a pleasurable experience for yourself and even for those who are seeing you. When they see you chanting, they will say, like, कौन करेगा यार? ये तो सजा है. This really struck me. He said, our faces are like as if we are being beaten in 22 marketplaces. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. Here it is. In the Bhagavad Gita 1.21 and 25, Arjuna ordered the infallible Lord Shri Krishna to place his chariot between the phalanxes of the soldiers. He asked him to stay there until he had finished observing the enemies he had to face in the battle. When the Lord was so asked, he at once did so, just like an order carrier. And the Lord pointed out on all the important men on the opposite side, saying, here is Bhishma, here is Drona, and so on. The Lord, being the supreme living being, is never the order supplier or order carrier of anyone, whoever he may be. But out of his causeless mercy and affection for his pure devotees, sometimes he carries out the order of his devotee like an awaiting servant. What a beautiful purport. He carries out the order of a devotee like an awaiting servant. By executing the order of a devotee, the Lord becomes pleased, as a father is pleased to carry out the order of a small child. This is possible out of pure transcendental love between the Lord and his devotees. And Vishnudev was quite aware of this fact. He therefore addressed the Lord as the friend of Arjuna. What is the name here? What is the address? अरे सुन रहे हो या नहीं? इधर कहीं और ही है. सुन नहीं रहे? Yes, Pranav?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Partha Sakhe.
Yeah, Partha Sakhe, Arjun Sakhe, I think. The Arjun Sakhe. Previously, verse was saying Vijay Sakhe, but here it has become more specific. He's saying Arjun Sakhe. Partha Sakhe, okay. It's Partha Sakhe. You are right. The Lord diminished the duration of the life of the opposite party by his merciful glance. It is said that all the fighters who were assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained salvation by personally seeing the Lord at the time of death. Therefore, his diminishing the duration of life of Arjuna's enemy does not mean that he was partial to the cause of Arjuna. Actually, he was merciful to the opposite party because they would have not attained salvation by dying at home in ordinary course of life. Here was a chance to see the Lord at the time of death and thus attain salvation from material life. Therefore, the Lord is all good, and whatever he does is for everyone's good. Yesterday we were discussing the 16th chapter, and Krishna says that Asurim yonim apannam mudha janmani janmani. To those who are demonic and disobedient, I cast them perpetually in the most abominable species of life. Asuri yonim apannam mudha janmani janmani. So then Prabhupada is asking the question, the Lord is all merciful, and what is he saying here? He is declaring that life after life he will cast them in the lower species of life. So what kind of mercy is this? Can it be said that the Lord is all merciful? Why? Here also the same question is being asked. That when Krishna glanced over the armies on the both sides, what he did, he shortened the life of everyone. But even after he shortened the life, all of them got salvation, which ordinarily for them there was no possibility. Therefore, the Lord is all good, and whatever he does is for everyone's good. Apparently, it is for the victory of Arjuna, his intimate friend. but factually it was for the good of Arjuna's enemies. Such are the transcendental activities of the Lord, and whoever understands this also gets salvation. See, very important. Prabhupada is giving this blessing. And whoever understands this also gets salvation after quitting this material body. The Lord does no wrong in any circumstance because He is absolute, all good at all times. I'll take this as the last verse. Vyavahita pratana mukham niraksya swajana vadad vimukhasya dosha buddhaya umatim arhat atmavidyaya yasa charanarati paramasya tasya me astu. When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance, upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. Pumatim. What did Krishna tell Arjuna? Utaswa kashmalam idam. Krishna is saying kashmala and Vishnu Dev is saying Pumatim. Arhat. He eradicated it how? By giving Atma Vidyaya, transcendental knowledge, in the form of Bhagavad Gita. So let the lotus feet, Charanarati, Paramasya Tasya Meyastu. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. The king and commanders were at stand in the front of the fighting soldiers. There was a system of actual fighting. The kings and commanders were not so-called presidents or ministers of defense as they are today. Prabhupada always bashes. He says today's ministers or kings and presidents, they are all useless. None of them ever go into the war or participate in war. They would not stay home while the poor soldiers or mercenaries were fighting face to face. This may be the regulation of modern democracy. But when actual monarchy was prevailing, the monarchs were not cowards elected without consideration of royal disqualification. Prabhupada is slapping. They were not cowards elected without consideration of royal qualification. As it was evident from the battle of Kurukshetra, all the executive heads of the both parties like Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, Duryodhana were not sleeping. All of them were actual participants in the fighting, which was selected to be executed at a place away from the civil residential quarters. This means that the innocent citizens were immune from all effect of fighting between the rival royal parties. The citizens had no business in seeing what was going to happen during such fighting. They were to pay 1/4 of their income to the ruler, whether he be Arjuna or Duryodhana. All the commanders of the parties in the battlefield of Kurukshetra were standing face to face. And Arjuna saw them with great compassion and lamented that he was to kill his kinsmen on the battlefield for the sake of empire. He was not at all afraid of the giant military flanks presented by Duryodhana, but because he was a merciful devotee of the Lord, renunciation of worldly things was natural for him. And thus he decided not to fight for worldly possession, but this was dear to poor fund of knowledge, and therefore it is said here that his intelligence became polluted. His intelligence could not be polluted at any time, because he was a devotee and constant companion of the Lord, as it is clear in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. What is the verse? That he is a constant companion and devotee of the Lord in the 4th chapter, and his intelligence cannot be polluted at any time. But immediately he should come. Which verse? The 4th chapter we have studied so many times. Yes, Ramya, you speak. Boliye.
The exact verse I don't remember. Lord, is that there was time when you and I both were existed, but you forgot. I remember.
No, what he's asking here, that Arjuna is a constant friend and companion. If Arjuna would forget, then how? What is the verse? But Krishna is himself declaring that you are my constant companion. ऐसे किताब देखो उलटने पुलटने से कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, वो गलत आंसर रहेगा। अगर कंसेप्शन क्लियर है, वो स्ट्राइक है, तो रिमेम्बरेंस रहेगी। हाँ, कहीं एक बार आज से 10 साल पहले कुछ खा के आए थे जो बहुत पसंद आया, पूरे जीवन भर नहीं भूलते हैं। अब भगवान के साथ जितना विशेष एक्सचेंज हो रहा है, देखो भीष्म देव कैसे रिलीज कर रहे हैं। हम सब भूल भाल जाते हैं, क्यों? तो कोई इंटरेस्ट ही नहीं है, अभी भी हायर टेस्ट डेवलप नहीं हुआ है। बोलो बोलो।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, भक्तों से मैं सखा चेती रहस्य उत्तमम।
भक्तों सी में सखा चेती, you have always been my constant friend and devotee. That is why I will reveal this secret unto you. Rahasyam etad uttamam. I will reveal it to you, not to anyone else. Arjuna's intelligence became apparently polluted because otherwise there would not have been a chance to deliver the teachings of Bhagavad Gita for the good of all polluted conditioned soul engaged in material bondage by their misconceptions concerning their relationship with the false material body. The Bhagavad Gita was delivered to the conditioned soul of the world to deliver them from the wrong conceptions of identifying the body with the soul and to reestablish their soul's eternal relation with the Supreme Lord. Atma Vidya, or transcendental knowledge of himself, was primarily spoken by the Lord for the benefit of all concerned in all parts of the universe. Hare Krishna. It is getting late, so I'll stop here. 9:24. Next 2 days, I have a big challenge. I have to complete the 18th chapter, just 78 verses. So far in 3 days, 3 chapters were done. 15, 16, and 17. With a lot of participation also. I gave them many presentations also to make. And the big class, more than 30 students are there. So we make 5 groups, at least 5 groups. But somehow it was happening. So tomorrow and day after also. So because of it, I am getting a little late. But I don't want to discontinue. Because if we don't put our effort, it will be impossible to complete the first canto. We are still on the 9th chapter. It has 19 chapters. And the limitation remains of not more than 4 or 5 verses. We're not able to go beyond that 4 or 5 verses. So keep writing. In between, sometimes Manoram Prabhu writes. I don't know about others. It has been months or maybe years that they haven't shared what their understanding is. Anyone has any question? No one? Okay, yes, Madam Prabhu.
So, Prabhuji, in text 35, Prabhupada and Prabhupada says that, other all soldiers got salvation because they could see Krishna's face at the end.
Yeah. So they got salvation.
So my question is, these both the armies were spread so far. Of course, Krishna can give salvation by simple as glance, but for soldiers, it was not possible to see Krishna's face.
But Krishna's glance was falling. This is what Prabhupada is saying.
Yeah,
That he shortened the life of everyone by his glance. See, very important. Once I was hearing the lecture of Gauranga Prabhu, and he spoke something very, very revolutionary. He said, when we take the darshan of the deities, actually we don't see the Lord. Do we see the Lord when we take darshan of the deities? But he says, in turn, when you come in front of the deity, the Lord sees you. You get the benefit of being seen by the Lord. And what he invokes? He invokes a spiritual desire in your hearts. And you get the benefit. So here, as you are saying, yeah, by worldly calculation, 64 crore soldiers, how can they see one person? But the Lord, He is the super soul. We saw the prayers of Kunti Devi, Atha Vishvesha Vishwatma Vishwamurti Sokeshu Me. He is the Lord of the universe. He is the master of the universe. He is the super soul of the universe. So he is seeing them all. And by his desire, he gave salvation to all. Simple. What is the difficulty? Why Krishna chose only Prabhupada to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world? No one else. No one else could do it. Neither before nor after. Why Krishna chose only Arjuna? Because they pleased Krishna to that extent. Because they participated in the war where Krishna was to give the nectar, the immortal nectar of Bhagavad Gita. So where the nectar will come? First to those who were present there. The benefit was given first to the soldiers. And it is now for those who will come in the generations who will study and take benefit of this Amrit of Gita. So the first beneficiary were all the soldiers who were assembled on the battlefield. Okay. It is actually by Lord's mercy. It is not because they did something extraordinary that they remembered Krishna. Actually, it is the principle is not seeing Krishna. What Krishna said in the 8th chapter, Yam Yam Vapi Smaranam Bhava. He is asking that Bhava, Tajyante Andkalevram. And what is the next verse? Antakale cha mameva smarana muktva kalevar. So Krishna gave that smaran. Krishna gave that smaran. He was himself present there. And here we see in the case of Bhishmadev, he is not giving smaran. He is personally present there to bestow full benefit. Bhishmadev. And Bhishmadev gives the benefit to all of us. When in his teachings he is telling Maharaj Yudhishthira that if you perform devotional service with devout attention, then Krishna himself will come and take you back. He will release you from the bondage of fruitive actions. Many times I have discussed that verse. Anyone remembers the verse of Bhishmadev? At least 1 or 2 verses you should memorize from Bhishmadev. We have discussed how many? 36 verses. Any one verse that anyone has memorized? We should at least take some inspiration from Amoha. He is memorizing almost all the verses from Kunti Devi's prayer. But what about Bhishmadev's prayer? They are not worth memorizing. Bhaktya Vesha Mano Yasmin Vachayannam Kirtayan Tajan Kale Varam Yogi Muchite Kama Karma Bhi. I think it is 1923. Anyway, I will not discuss it. It is getting very late. It is 9:30. So it is by the grace of Krishna that Krishna gives this extraordinary mercy and give them all salvation. Without Krishna's mercy, can anyone achieve salvation on his own attempt? Is it possible? No, not possible. So Krishna gave them the mercy. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here and continue tomorrow. So please put more attention. Very, very important. These are the final prayers of Bhishmadev. So revisit them, read them, revise them, write about them, and if possible, memorize them. When you come in front of Radha Parsarthi and you recite, Radha Parsarthi will be very happy. where is this devotee of Bhishma Dev appeared from here? In Radha Partharthi, all devotees are of Arjuna. Where is this Bhishma Dev devotee appearing? You'll be so pleased. Hare Krishna.